Welcome to the first part in this two-part series on Auschwitz. Arbeit macht frei. Work makes you free. Yet in this place it didn't make you free. This was a death factory. And I'm at Auschwitz 1. And we'll also be visiting Birkenau as well. But this is the famous main entrance to Auschwitz. Let's go further inside. There's a place here where a band used to play. When the prisoners used to enter, the orchestra, the camp orchestra had to assemble here to play marches whilst the prisoners filed past. This was to help prisoners keep in step and make it easier to count them as they went to and from work. There's a picture of them in front of this building, which is this here. Go a bit further down into the camp. It was actually a army barrack initially, and then once the Germans took over, they found another purpose for it. At first to keep political prisoners, but then as they changed their plans, then they went after anyone that didn't fit in to their policies, their way of life, their philosophy. The building here, the struggle and martyrdom of the Polish nation, 1939 to 1945. Exhibition showing says Hitler's forces brought havoc and death. That is right, that is correct. And they're showing here the sacrifices of Poland. I mean, they've got a ditch here with victims' aggression of USSR against Poland. One of the exhibition rooms. Just to give you an idea of this one is an exhibition for the Slovak Jews, prisoners from Bohemia at Auschwitz. Auschwitz prisoners from the Czech lands. There's an exhibition in memory of those. And a lot of these nations had sizable Jewish populations, which have now been practically reduced to zero in some places. Let me look at the propaganda that's used. And images like this. Now imagine if you're on the receiving end. So this is for the Czech Jews in memory of those. I mean, look at the images and the graffiti that you see. If this doesn't cause hatred, I'm not sure what would. You can see the Star of David there. This shows demolished synagogue. Those are anti-Jewish activities by the HG members. So one thing that, about this, I will say about the authorities that look after Auschwitz, organising some of the rooms into showing the atrocities that happened here. And you've got a table here with Vienna arbitration. Italy and Germany decide to annex South Slovakia. So these rooms are also worth visiting as well, because as you come outside, most of the rest is out in the open. It's got a booth here as well. It says here, booth where the SS man responsible for conducting the roll call and collecting reports on the number of prisoners took shelter during inclement weather. So this is where the SS man who's responsible, that's where he stood or sat, I'm not quite sure, in this booth here. The building here, it says, in this place the SS man in charge of the roll call received reports on the number of prisoners present. In the event that any of them were missing, the remaining prisoners were punished, having to stand at attention for long periods of time regardless of the weather conditions. To intimidate the prisoners, the SS carried out public hangings here as well. The largest such execution took place on the 19th of July 1943 on specially conducted gallows. More atrocities. In fact, this place was full of atrocities. Just outside the death wall, and it says here, in the courtyard between blocks 10 and 11 in the years 1941 to 43, SS men shot several thousand people at the death wall, many Polish prisoners. A lot of people do visit this area, this courtyard, lay flowers here. You see lots of people have put flowers here. And there's lanterns as well that have been lit with candles inside the death wall. This is where prisoners were shot. Like I said, there's a lot of people here, a lot of people visiting. A lot of people do visit this specific courtyard, pay respects, have a look around. Just heading towards block 11, and this was a prison. It's got a desk in here, also a desk and a single bed there as well. Not a desk with a telephone on there. Now you've got prisoners' rooms.
So they kept him and made
the habitable rooms for prisoners who were performing duties. This one's for those that were performing duties. The washroom where women were stripped before execution. They were led in twos to yard and shot at the death wall. It feels claustrophobic even now. Imagine what it was like back then. September 41, the first experimental mass killings with Cyclone B were used. So yeah, that was the prisoners' block area where prisoners were kept, where women were stripped, washed, and then shot. It's nightmarish to think about it even now. In fact, it was claustrophobic whilst walking down. So it's claustrophobic for me now. What was it like back then? It's just not worth thinking about. There are more exhibition rooms. There's one over here. This is for the persecution and deportation of Jews in the Netherlands, so in Holland. So let's have a look as we walk up. So those that were deported from Holland And this room actually has a lot of lighting inside as well. It's sad really because a lot of pictures that you see, they've got no names on them, such as this one here, smiling here, but who knows how long for. Hands up in the air, you've got a German soldier there, and this is when things really look bleak, when you have that uniform on. This room specifically for the Holland Jews, in their memory. Do come down to these rooms as well when you're here. Don't just look at the outside, the exterior of the camp. The rooms themselves have messages, stories, people's faces. There's one of Anne Frank here. She's one of the more well-known ones, I guess. But even the others, their faces need to be remembered. The sacrifices need to be remembered. Just coming towards a halt sign with a skull, and right in front of a tower. And I think that's where the gas chambers are, just in front. Watchtower still intact, padlocked. If it wasn't, I'm pretty sure some moronic fool would try and get inside it. Most people are actually more interested in the crematoria, but this gallows that you can see here was specially erected for the commandant of the camp, Rudolf Höss. That's where he was executed after being found guilty of crimes. Specially constructed gallows. You can see quite a few people going into the crematoria. You can see the chimney just there. I didn't speak inside because you should show some respect there. And to actually, as I was walking outside, there's actually a sign there that says please remain silent in respect. And it's true as well, you shouldn't really go in there, have discussions and talk. But that was the gas chamber and crematoria. You can see the chimney just there, and it's right next to the gallows where Rudolf Höss met his end. And it's fine to talk outside, but inside you've got to remember the amount of people that died here. The numbers is staggering, and you do and should have show some respect. It is a memorial site. It's not a playground. You're not here to have a picnic. So, you know, one thing that you do actually also see is people taking selfies here. So, you know, that's frowned upon as well. This is not a, you know, place where you take a selfie and put it on Instagram. People died here. Victims. So, in their memory, to pay respect, please stay silent. Everywhere that you walk in this camp in Auschwitz, you get more glimpses into the atrocities that occurred here. You know, looking at the numbers, they say roughly 1.1 million people died in Auschwitz-Birkenau. Now I don't know if it's 1.1, 1.2, you know, over 1 million people. And if you have a look at the conditions that they were kept in, the torture, the punishments, the daily regimes that they were put to, it's not only physical torture, mental torture as well. And you get more of a insight into that with the barbed wire, the electrification of these. Now imagine if you wanted to escape, you couldn't get out of here. You hear of stories where people touched the wires on purpose because they'd had enough of life and they wanted to end it. But that just shows you the level of cruelty, the level of evil that was committed here. Now there's lots of films out there, lots of films that you can see, documentaries, but I actually think that being physically here to see Auschwitz, you get more of an idea of what it's like. I remember the first time that I came here, you see the famous sign on TV and documentaries, and you walk in, but when you walk in physically yourself, it's different. It's a totally different experience. The history books can only show you so much. The documentaries can only show you so much. You get a sense of the scale of operations that were done here. You know, you can see today, same as me, people walking around freely here at their leisure, but there was no leisure in under the Nazi regime. They wanted to get rid of people. That was their act, really. The final solution. The main victims here, Jews, but also political prisoners, Romani gypsies, the disabled. You know, they call them undesirables, really, which doesn't really do it justice. But they just went for anyone that they didn't like, anyone that didn't conform to their version of what the Aryan race was. It's strange actually, because Hitler wasn't blonde and didn't have blue eyes either. Got people walking into the main sign there. This is actually towards the exit area. And that's my first video, Auschwitz 1. Wait for the second one as well, on Birkenau, which is only a few kilometers down the road. And I hope you've enjoyed this video in the sense that it's educational, it's learning. It's a memory really of those that died here, and to keep that alive. And I think that they've done a good job here, the authorities, with the exhibitions that they've got, and in keeping the museum open and in good shape as well. They do a lot of work here, and things such as this, which is also, if you think about it, where people died, it contains the ashes and memories of so many that died here, so it's in their memory really. That's why I'm doing this video. So from Auschwitz 1, the main camp, it's goodbye.